Welcome to Around the Bend with Soki. We're Ramona and Mike, and we experienced some brake difficulties, which I'll explain. Well, welcome to my problem. I discovered that I have a leak in my brake lines. I lost all my fluid, and I couldn't figure out where it's coming from. And then I saw this telltale sign rolling down the inside of my wheel. You can see where it's coming out. It's been spraying all around here. We went through Philadelphia and all of a sudden I lost all my brake fluid. Apparently it's coming from that line right there. And whether there's a break in it, I don't know yet, but I will find out shortly. I had to take the wheel off to get to it. And that's what it looks like inside the wheel, so it's definitely been leaking for a little bit. So let's see what we can find out. Okay, so I just pulled the pin on the emergency brake to test this. I used the 11mm wrench to try to tighten this up, and it's not going to do it. It's been vibrating too much. This thing here is vibrating. It's not even tight, and the vibration has killed this fitting. Even if I tighten it up, it won't tighten, so I'm going to have to replace that line right there, and I think that will put me back in business. So I've got to get back in here, take this fitting off back in here, so I can take this off and then get it out of there, so I can actually work with it and get it out of there so I can redo the brake line. So there's one bolt fits in the back here that holds this in place. I took that bolt out, and when I took the bolt out, look what happened. That thing has been vibrating so much that the line was broken right through. So it's no wonder I couldn't seal it up. We'll just have to replace the whole thing. Okay, so we made a trip to the auto parts store and was able to come up with this particular part. There's only a few of them in each store. One store only had one. I did find 3 in another just in case I need more. I figured I'd pick them up. They're like $8 and something a piece. But this is the actual part number. It is a regular flare on one end and a bubble flare on the other. And that's what makes it different. They're hard to come by, and especially this short. So I've got to bend this around to match that. They're 10mm, and that is the part number that I was able to get. I have that and 3 spares, because I'm not so sure that I'm not going to have this problem on other wheels as well. Bend in the middle of it that angles it off in a different direction, so we'll see how it goes. Okay, so my new part fits right in there just like it's supposed to. I tweaked it just a little bit. The challenge I've got is this bracket was supposed to hold it steady. We know it does not work from the factory because it barely fits this thing in the first place, and it just wobbles all over the place. That's what caused my problem in the first place. So what I'm going to do, this will work fine. I'm going to put some foam around that and stuff it into this collar so that that foam will ride in there and force it to kind of stay in place, and then I shouldn't have a problem with it. This moves with the axle, so every time it goes up and down, it's not going to interfere with this at all, because if the flex line is still here, it's still doing what it's supposed to do. I just need to make sure that this doesn't go wobbling all over the place. That is what broke this off in the first place. And then, of course, one of the things I've got to do is go check all the rest of them and see if that's a problem. The other minor detail I've got is that I cannot get this bleeder screw loose. Back when we first got this, there was a pretty significant leak in the brake lines, and I had no brake fluid when I first picked up this camper. So they sent it to a truck shop to get it bled, and my guess is that they got really over anxious tightening that up. So I've got a couple of tricks I'm going to try to see if I can't loosen it up and fix that problem. I hope I don't have the same thing on all the other wheels, because I've got to bleed everything. So, but that's my next problem. Right now I got this one fixed, and I have several repair pieces just in case I need one, so that's a good thing. Ingenuity had to do a little work on this one, but I have these pieces of foam that everything gets shipped in, and so I came up with the idea of taking the foam and actually putting it over the top of it and through this bracket. It's going to not only hold the bracket, but it's going to fit into that groove, and it should keep this from vibrating around like it has been. I think it'll be pretty solid where I put it, so we'll see. Okay, test fitting this in place. That works good. It goes up in there, sits right in there nicely, and then this particular thing bolts down. It's going to hold it right there, and I don't see that as moving anywhere. I think it's going to stay right in place very nicely. I think we're good. That's close, but it's not actually hitting on it. I think that's going to be a good deal. As soon as this pulls down, it'll tighten it right up. So we'll give that a shot. Okay, so there's the finished installation. Got it bent around. I got it fastened up underneath here. I was able to get the bleeder loose finally. And there's a little bit of a secret to that. A friend of mine told me this. He's a wizard mechanic by himself. And he told me that if I warmed it up, so I went and bought this propane torch and just heated up the bleeder screw. Nothing more, just the bleeder screw. Heated that up, got it nice and warm. And he told me if I had any candles, use some paraffin. If you use the paraffin, you can melt that right on the threads. I didn't think I had a candle, but then it dawned on me we probably always keep some birthday candles floating around, and that was perfect because it fit right in there and I could just paste it on. And if you let it sit for 5 minutes and cool down, you can probably get it loose. And by God, it worked. It's loose, and I've got it now so that I can bleed it. Now I got to check the other ones and make sure they'll do the same thing, and then I can start to check my connections, make sure they don't leak, and then try to bleed the whole works. So in order to make this a lot easier to work with, I moved this from way back up in under there, where I had to try to wrangle around and put oil in, or brake fluid in it, and I couldn't see it. I had to use a zip tie to try to figure it out. I moved it back here by using a 20-inch piece of 3/16 flare and a union to bring it back here so I can get to it and do it a much better job. And now I can actually get in here and see what's in there. I could never do that before. It was damn near impossible to do anything with. I made sure I had a good ground there for that, and then I actually used it, put it right up to my bus bar to make sure I've got good solid voltage for it. So I hope this episode helps somebody if they run into the same brake problems that I did. Thanks for watching.